that series because we have a game 4 tonight. Simmons and his teammates that are actually playing on the brink of elimination against the Celtics. Nick Fridell will join us there. We are going to talk with Matt Miller as well about the NFL draft. You, Anita, are coming to Vegas for that. It is Thursday, first round on ABC and ESPN. Can't wait to dive into that throughout this upcoming week. A reminder on your screen, you know it, the suits make me do it. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting is where you can find all of our content across all platforms, all personalities, all sports. You might be watching us right now on that platform, so if that is you, good job on doing your homework. All right, Anita, it is Monday, so let's get it kick-started with a little reaction or no action. I'm going to read you a statement. If you agree with it, reaction is the affirmative. If you disagree with it, no action is the negative. We're going to start in the NFL with that draft forthcoming. We know, Anita, that the running back position just not what it was in terms of value and appeal 20, 30 years ago. So if I say a running back will be drafted in the first round of this year's NFL draft, and you can bet on that at a plus 190 price. So that tells you what the market thinks of the probability. Anita, are you reaction or no action?
No action here for me. I don't think we see a running back go until the second round. And if there is one that goes in the second round, more than likely it's Kenneth Walker from Michigan State. Transfer over. Listen, most broken tackles in college football last season. Here's what his negatives are. No with pass pro. And that's a no with a lot of teams, a lot of quarterbacks, and a lot of offensive coordinators. And also only 18 career catches in his whole collegiate career. And what we know here, Tyler, is that this is a pass-happy NFL. So only 18 career catches. So I don't believe that there is one running back worthy of going in the first round. And if there was one to go in the second round, to me it would be Walker.
Yeah, I'm no action as well. I think teams and general managers are just getting wise to the negative expected value that you get out of drafting a running back in the first round, no matter how dynamic he may be. Now, I do think Breece Hall out of Iowa State is one of the best 32 prospects in this NFL draft, but I still would not take him in the first round when I could get a quarterback, a defensive end, a cornerback who has that fifth-year option, more control over salary for a longer time at a more valuable position. So even though, again, I do think there is a running back who's one of the best 32 prospects, that doesn't mean he deserves, considering everything that goes into allocating those resources, to be selected in the top 32. So I, like you, am no action there. Let's move to Major League Baseball, where unders have been kind of the in vogue bet to start this Major League Baseball season. So if I asked you, Anita, or said to you, 60 runs will be scored in Major League Baseball tonight, and there are 7 games, so you can do the quick math there. Beep, bop, boop, beep, beep, beep. That's about, 8+ runs per game, 8.5 runs per game there. Reaction or no action, Anita Marks?
I'm going no action here. Our producer, Weimer, she shared with me, unders have hit over 60% of the games this season. That's a lot. And when you look at the slate today, some of the pitchers that are on the bump, Scherzer for the Mets, Burns for the Brewers, Gibson for the Phillies, Bieber for Cleveland, Kelly for Arizona. Some good pitchers going tonight. So no action here for me.
Boom, I'm with you. No action as well. You mentioned some of the great pitchers that we have. I mean, we have games that have totals of 6.5 and 7 on tonight's slate. And the market is indicating that it's more probable to go under 60 runs, because if you want to bet on how many runs will be scored in the 7 games tonight, the prop is set at 58.5. So right there, the prop is under 60. Unders have been in vogue, like you said, cash in at about 60% clip so far this season. I, too, am no action, unfortunately, on unders in baseball continually. If you like scoring, sorry. Not maybe your year in Major League Baseball, but we'll see if that changes as the weather warms up and rosters shrink after May 1st. All right, to the NBA. 3 playoff games tonight, one in which a team is facing a potential sweep. That, of course, is the Brooklyn Nets. Katie and Kyrie in an 0-3 hole. So reaction or no action, the Boston Celtics on the road in Brooklyn will win the first quarter tonight. Minus 110 is what you got to pay.
Yeah, reaction here for me. They've done it twice out of the 3 games that they have faced the Nets. And this dude, Ben Simmons, has decided that he's not going to play Game 4. So there's not going to be excitement at the Clays. That's what we like to call it here in the New York area. There's not going to be excitement. And when you look at this Boston Celtics defense, they are really throwing KD off his game. So reaction here for me, I think Boston, I think they dominate all 4 quarters tonight.
I am with you yet again, Anita Marks. I love it when we're seeing eye to eye. Reaction for me as well. I've been saying this for months now, how this team is just mediocre, this Brooklyn team, how much I love this Boston team, especially now that they got the Time Lord, Robert Williams, back. I have not bet any of my hard-earned American dollars on the Brooklyn Nets in any way, shape, or form for the better part of 4 or 5 weeks now. I'm not going to start doing it here when they're facing elimination and clearly are the inferior team when matched up against the Boston Celtics. So I think we're 3 for 3 to start the Monday show right there. Both of us agreeing on all 3 prompts. So I think we can agree, Anita, that anytime we have Nick Fridell join us here on Bet, it's probably going to make the show a little bit better. Nick Fridell has been following this Boston and Brooklyn series since its inception, and he has seen, like us, 3 wins for the Celtics going into tonight's Game 4. And Nick, I don't know if you can see Anita's shirt, but Ben Simmons officially making more appearances on Bet than he will make on an NBA floor this season, it appears. So now that we got that out of the way, Ben Simmons not going to play. How about we look at Kevin Durant, Nick Fridell, who has struggled in this series, averaging just 22 points per game, shooting less than 40% from the field. We know Boston has a really great defense in terms of scheme and personnel. What has Durant and his team and the coaches said about what Boston is specifically doing to make life difficult for him?
Tyler, they don't really have a lot of good answers. And in all the years I've covered Kevin, this is as frustrated in a stretch that I can ever remember seeing him. The Celtics are throwing every body they have at him. They are switching everything on him, and they have made his life very, very uncomfortable. So the Nets, specifically Steve Nash, remains confident that Durant can turn it around tonight. But in order to believe that, you have to suspend what you've seen in the last week, because the Celtics defense has been unbelievable, and the Nets just don't sound like they have the answers to fix it.
All right, so in Game 3 combined, Katie and Kyrie put together 32 points. If you look at both their prop total in regard to points scored tonight, it totals 55. Does that do it? Will them combined scoring 55 points really get them a win tonight? Nick, what happens here?
Anita, no. They got to get some more help from somebody else. I mean, Kevin, I think, is going to have a bounce-back night closer to the Kevin Durant we've seen for the last couple months. But even then, that's not enough. And what this series has shown us is that Boston has made Kevin look more human than we've ever seen. But even more, if Kyrie's not dropping 39 like he did in Game 1, there are not a lot of other answers for this Brooklyn club. So Bruce Brown has had a couple of good games in a row. He has to do more. Seth Curry's got to knock down some early shots and find his rhythm. And Goran Dragic, who's been solid at times, needs a few more minutes to get rolling. But I don't believe that just getting Kevin and Kyrie going offensively is going to be enough, because Boston can hit you in so many different ways.
Yeah, Nick, and one of those ways they can hit you is a guy who basically scores the way Kevin Durant does, and that's Jason Tatum. Now, in Games 1 and 3, Tatum went for 30-plus. In Game 2, though, he had just 19, but it was still a Boston victory. Is there something that the Nets did in Game 2 defensively that they can try to go back to in Game 4, or is that just kind of the natural flow of the game, and Tatum is someone you can expect to go off in Game 4 if needed?
Tyler, I'm not giving the Nets enough credit for anything defensively because they don't deserve it. I mean, this team, every time you watch them, even leading into the playoffs, you're looking at them going, I don't know if the defense is going to stand up the way it needs to. Now, early in Game 2, yes, the Nets probably played their best stretch that we've seen in a while, but as usual with the Nets, they couldn't keep it going with any consistency, and they folded down the stretch. So as far as Tatum goes, I know that is the guy that they're trying to slow down, and they're throwing a whole bunch of different people at him. Bruce Brown's going to get some run there, but I don't see any kind of major adjustment coming from the Nets, especially on the defensive end, where they continue to just look like they are not in sync at all.
All right, so the line is the Nets are favored by 1, and it's 220.5 is the total. Is there a play here for you in this matchup?
Hell yeah, there is, and the play is not the Nets. Anita, the play here is the Celtics. When you listen to the Brooklyn players, when you watch their body language on the floor, you see a team that knows their season's just about done. Now, the only reason I'm not completely in is because I've seen Kevin Durant for so many years that I believe that he still has one more performance in him. But you know a team that's done when you see them. And I can only tell y'all, in the last few days, when you ask this team what they can do to fix things, they don't know where the answer is. And this feels like a group that knows that maybe they get one tonight. I don't see it, but it isn't going past Game 5 in Boston.
Well, both teams have won at least one game in the 7 other series. Brooklyn's the only winless team right now in this NBA postseason, which is just absolutely bonkers to think with KD and Kyrie. But as you point out, they've been a pretty mediocre team despite having those 2 stars all season long. Nick Fridell, our guy, we love it when he joins us here on Bet. Dropping some great nuggets there, Nick. Enjoy tonight's Game 4. Could be the last for the Nets this season.
See you guys.
All right, Anita, you heard what Nick had to say about Game 4 tonight, and he is decidedly on one side of the equation. Let's see if we are in lockstep there. We'll start Game 4 tonight at the Barclays, or the Clays, if I'm a cool kid from Brooklyn, as you like to say up there, Anita. Nets are a 1-point home favorite, despite being down 0-3. 220.5 is the total. You see how the Nets have done ATS at home this season. It's awful. We know Ben Simmons is out. Do you agree with Nick that pretty much the only way to play this game is with the Boston Celtics?
I do, and you can keep your stinking points. I'm going to take the Celtics on the money line for sure. Also, I like the under here at 220.5, and I've got some prop bets. Bruce Brown over 14.5 points, and Tatum over 1.5 steals. So follow me here. Defensively, Nick hit on it, right? Boston Celtics, their defense is unbelievable, holding teams to 106 points a game. But against KD, they've taken it to a whole nother level, and Tatum's been a big part of that. He had 6 steals in Game 3. So you're telling me I could get the over and 1.5 steals for him in Game 4? I think I'm going to take that. Also, the Celtics, they converted 37 points in their 21 turnovers that they got from the Nets. I think that's going to be crucial. Also, not enough people are talking about Al Horford. Get this, with him on the court, the Celtics are plus 22. Without him on the court, they're minus 8. I know he's the unforgotten man, but I think that he's a really, really big key and cog to the Celtics' success, especially in this series.
All right, we're in agreement yet again. I'm not going to, act like Nick is foolish for saying how bad the Nets have been. I have been trumpeting those same claims for 2 months now. So I love the Nets. I'm sorry, the Celtics. Pardon me. No one really loves the Nets right now. I love the Celtics. I like you. Forget the point. Money line is a good play as well. I do like those props that you're throwing out there as well. I saw one flash for Bruce Brown. He has been the third cog who's played a lot of minutes alongside Kyrie and KD. And I do like defensive props for the Celtics, whether it's Tatum, whether it's Brown, whether it's Smart over steals. I love that. Bottom line, Celtics are just a vastly superior team to the Nets. So I'll take them. Give me the point. Give me the money line. Whatever. However you want to bet the Celtics in this game, do it, because I think the sweep is coming. All right, another Eastern Conference matchup we can dive into where the Raptors avoided a sweep in Game 4. They now come back to Philadelphia for Game 5 tonight as 8-point road underdogs against Joel Embiid, James Harden, and the Philadelphia 76ers. Have a very low total of 211.5. Some important news here injury-wise. You see Fred VanVleet, all-star guard, ruled out with his hip injury. He left after just 14 minutes in Game 4. And Joel Embiid is playing right now with a ligament tear in his thumb. So, Anita, how does that affect the way you're looking at Game 5?
I love the under here. So I'm going to play the under at 211.5 for a few reasons. Number one, and I did a deep dive here, with VanVleet off the court, the Raptors are actually a better defensive unit. With him on the court, they're giving up anywhere between 125 to 128 points a game. Without him on the court, it's around 111 to 115. So they improve, they get longer, they get more athletic. So first things first, and we've seen this team be really scrappy in this series. Then you mentioned Embiid. Embiid is off. Listen, he's going to have reports are he's going to have surgery on that thumb in the postseason, but 7 of 16, only 21 points, shooting only 43%. That's not like Embiid. Tybal, he will be back because now they're back at home in Philadelphia. So I love the under here. I think that's the play tonight for sure.
See, I'm in agreement with you that under is my lean for this game, but it's not my official pick, although it's part of my reasoning and handicapping for picking a side, and that's the Raptors +8. You're telling me in a game that I expect to be lower scoring like you, Anita, I can get 8 points as far as a head start on the scoreboard? That's valuable. I know the Sixers are probably a better team than the Raptors, especially with Van Vliet out. However, your boy Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year, is back, played 26 minutes in Game 4. Ostensibly should see that ramped up a little bit in Game 5. And Embiid's thumb, that is a massive, massive question mark for this team because guess what? James Harden still is not playing efficient basketball. Yeah, he's out there and he's doing all right, but he's shooting well under 40% from the field. And if Embiid's efficiency is going to come down because of the thumb, and if he's not able to crash the glass and bang with the bigs down low because of the thumb, well, 8 points is a nice little cushion to have with the Toronto Raptors. So I agree with you, lean under, but my official play is picking a side, and I think 8 is just too much for the Raptors to take. All right, let's move to our final game tonight. This one a pivotal Game 5 matchup because the series is knotted at 2 apiece. So it's a best of 3 going forward. The Mavs with Luka Doncic back in tow are a 3-point home favorite. 213 is the total here. You see that Dallas is 3-1 ATS in the series, but they were underdogs in each of the first 4 games. Now they're a favorite with Luka back at home. What do you like, Anita?
Yeah, I like Dallas here. Back at home, as you said, I'll lay the 3. They are the better team. I think they should be 3-1 if it wasn't for that alley-oop, right, from D. Mitch to Gobert. The Dallas Mavericks would be 3-1. And this is a team that has been dominant, has been the better team even without Luka. And what calf injury. Played over 30 minutes, put up 30 points, 10 rebounds, had a double-double. And defensively, the Dallas Mavericks defense has been exceptional, especially their perimeter defense against the 3-point shot. And that's really what the Jazz live by. So, Dallas checks all the boxes tonight. I'll lay the points. And also, I'm going to play a 3-way moneyline parlay on the Boston Celtics, the 76ers, and Dallas. And you can get that at +315.
Ooh, Anita building a nice little Monday evening parlay. We love to see the YOLO parlay. So best of luck to you. I, like you, like the Dallas side, but I'm going to attack the total here with my official pick, and I am going to go under 213. Anita, if you look at the 4 games played in this series, the 4 games have averaged 212.3 points per game. But Game 3 was a significant outlier that featured 244 total points. Games 1 and Games 4 didn't even get to 200 combined points. When the Mavericks have played at home this season, they've been an absolute under machine, an under monster. They're 30-12-1 in the 43 games played in their home gym to the under. That includes the 2 games played in this postseason, Games 1 and 2. With Luka back, we know he likes to dribble the basketball, very methodical with his pace. I like the under here. That's the only way I'm going to bet Mavericks games when they're playing at home. Either under or pass, and this one is an official under for me. So that'll do for the look, at the 3-game NBA slate. We have 3 beautiful faces back with you on Bet the Third. Joining Anita and I is our good friend Matt Miller, NFL draft analyst here at ESPN. And Matt, we got some questions for you, and we want the scoop, so dig in. We have to start with this news. Over the weekend, some significant shakeup in the market. Trayvon Walker is now the odds-on favorite to be the first overall selection in this draft. It's no longer Michigan defensive end Aiden Hutchinson. Matt, I am told by a little bird in my ear that you have your latest NFL mock draft coming up on ESPN Plus that will be released tomorrow. So please tease us with the first 3 picks there and let us know if Trayvon is one of them at number 1.
You know, it's wild. I had to change it today, to be honest. This is the beauty of working in the NFL draft industry. You file your mock draft, your editors are ready to go, and then things come in and you change it. So even since I sent the list to your editors, guys, I've switched things up. So at number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm buying the buzz that they're taking Travon Walker. So I've made him my number 1 overall pick. Is it what I would do? Absolutely not. But that's not how the NFL draft always goes. If he does go first, let me tell you, the Detroit Lions will break a record for fastest draft pick ever with Aiden Hutchinson from in their backyard at the University of Michigan with the number 2 overall pick. And then at number 3, the Houston Texans. This would throw the board into kind of disarray, but it would make it fun for sure. But Derek Stingley Jr., the corner from LSU, who back in 2019 was an elite player, dealt with some injuries the last 2 years, but the Houston Texans can get a true shutdown corner at number 3.
All right, Matt, you do not have a quarterback going in your top 3. Tell us, where do you have your first quarterback taken and to which team?
Yeah, Anita, I don't love this right now, I'll be honest with you, but Kenny Pickett to the Carolina Panthers is what I have as of now. I think Carolina is in an interesting situation. They desperately need a quarterback, but they also desperately need a left tackle. They don't have draft choices in rounds 2 or 3, so they're really in between a rock and a hard place. Do you take the quarterback or left tackle? Arguably the 2 most important positions in football, but I think head coach Matt Rule is feeling that pressure and will take quarterback Kenny Pickett.
All right, Matt, you heard potentially Anita and I earlier in the show talking about where a running back might be selected. We know in today's NFL, even though they are impact players, their value is not what it once was, 20, 30 years ago. Breece Hall out of Iowa State is favored to be the first taken at that position. His prop, though, is 39.5, which would indicate the market thinks he's more likely to be a second-round proposition. Where would you play that? Over, under 39.5? And if it is under, is it under by enough to be a first-round selection?
Yeah, I would go under on that. 39.5. I'm a little surprised that it's that high, to be honest. And I do think there's a strong possibility he is a first-round pick. Teams like the Buffalo Bills have a need at running back. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers could certainly go running back to pair him with Leonard Fournette. I think what will be interesting to watch is how many wide receivers come off the board. If Buffalo's sitting there at 25, or if Tampa's at 27 and some of the receivers have come off the board, certainly for Buffalo, I think they would be inclined to go running back like Breece Hall to try to round out this explosive offense. That's a roster that doesn't have a lot of needs. So the value of getting someone that can be a 3-down running back at 25 might be too good for Buffalo to pass up.
All right, Matt, so the total for offensive players drafted in the first round, defensive players drafted in the first round are pretty similar. Offense, it's over under 16.5. Defense, it's over under 15.5. Is there a play here that you would make?
Oh, that's tough, Anita. I'm going to double down on the wide receivers. I would take the over on offensive players. We could see a record number of wide receivers, which would be 8, and that would get us halfway there, right? So then you add in a strong offensive tackle class, a strong interior offensive line class, a couple of quarterbacks. Before you know it, you are at that 16.5 mark. So I think taking the over on offense, they're good at making these lines, right? This is really difficult, but I think the over on offense is a better bet this year.
Matt Miller joining us here on Bet, helping us break down the NFL draft. Thursday, right here in Vegas. Matt's going to be dialed in, and he is going to be a big part of the coverage from our ESPN team. Anita is going to be joining us here in Las Vegas as well. Matt, I know this is your favorite time of the year. Anita and I are draft nicks too, so we love it. We appreciate you joining us here on Bet and look forward to watching you on all our ESPN platforms as we near Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Anita, some interesting nuggets there from Matt, who followed the market. He said he originally had Aiden Hutchinson going number 1 coming into the weekend. Then seeing that Travon Walker news, that made him flip Travon and Aiden Hutchinson. He also said he thinks Breece Hall is going to come well in under 39.5, maybe even sneak into the first round. Anything that Matt had to say there stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, a few things. In regard to the scouts and executives I've spoken to, nobody knows who's going to go number 1 overall. Jacksonville is still trying to trade that first pick. Who knows what team is going to possibly work out a deal and who they covet. Both Hutchinson, short arms, that's the biggest concern on him. Walker, not great stats at Georgia. That's the biggest concern on him. Again, I don't expect a running back to go in the first round. I'm with him with the wide receivers. I think there's going to be a plethora of wide receivers that will go in the first round. And I think that's all quarterbacks. I do like the over in quarterbacks to go in the first round because, again, keep in mind, if a team does draft a quarterback in the first round, they get an extra, that fifth-year option. And all these quarterbacks are projects. Not one of them are going to come in, start for a team, and help them win a football game. So that's going to be key to get that extra one-year option for a lot of these teams if they draft a quarterback.
I agree with you there. I think that's such an important thing to note about the quarterback position and getting that fifth-year option versus other less valuable positions like running back, like tight end. You get a cornerback, quarterback, offensive tackle with that fifth-year option. He turns out to be a great player. That's going to benefit your team significantly long term. So great chatting with Matt Miller about the NFL draft, a couple of big-time NFL draft weeks. All right, let's stay on the gridiron, Anita, and play a little stock up, stock down. We'll examine the market as we head towards the NFL draft. And we're going to look at just both New York franchises. This is your backyard, sister. So let's start with the team in the AFC, the New York Jets. So far this offseason, heading into the draft, stock up, stock down for the Jets, Jets.
Yeah, I think stock up here. First and foremost, Joe D, general manager, they've been aiming for this draft and possibly next year's as well. They're a $50 million under the cap, so they got a lot of wiggle room. They drafted their quarterback of the future last year in Zach Wilson. He spoke to Michael Kay here in New York, afternoon drive, and said that 100% they're still committed to Zach Wilson. What they see, they love. There's talk and speculation they're going to trade for Deebo Samuel. That'll be exciting if that happens. They've got 9 picks in this draft, 2 in the first, 2 in the second, so a lot of draft capital. And Joe D already on his way to getting this team on the right track. So stock up big time for the Jets for sure.
I agree with you. I would love to be Joe Douglas heading into this draft because he has 4 selections in the top 40. That's a big reason why I'm stocked up on them. Has number 4 and number 10 in the first round, and number 35 and number 38 in the second round. So those are 2 of the first 10 picks in the second round as well. Very significant draft capital, which you can use to select players. Or like you said, we know they were aggressive pursuing Tyreek Hill. Basically came down to them and the Miami Dolphins before Hill chose the Dolphins. So having that draft capital, knowing they've been aggressive, wouldn't be surprised if Deebo Samuel is a New York Jet because they have made an offer that is at least palatable for the San Francisco 49ers to part ways with their offensive star. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Stock up there on the Jets, Jets. All right, how about the New York Football Giants? New head coach, new front office. Still the same Daniel Jones and other players that have been kind of over the last few seasons. Stock up, stock down on the Giants, Anita.
I hate to say it, but opposite direction for the Giants in stock down for a few reasons. Number one, cap space-wise, they're in a crunch. They only have about 6.7. Word is that they're going to have to trade James Bradberry. So I do expect him to go at some point in time in the draft if they're not right after. They're going to have to free up some space to sign all the rookies that they're going to be signing as well. Quarterback Daniel Jones, big question marks there. I'm still on the fence. I don't want to judge him yet. He's been sold a bag of lemons here in New York, but it doesn't sound like the new regime with Joe Shane and Dable are sold either. So they have to stockpile their picks looking forward to next year's quarterback class, which is supposed to be tremendous. And again, Joe Shane coming in from Buffalo, he has to clean up Dave Gettleman's mess. So they're way behind the 8 ball. So I'm going down right now, but I think the future is bright. I think the future is bright, Tyler.
Okay. All right, yeah, I definitely understand the logic you're using there, but I am saying stock up. And a big reason is because I am willing to bet a significant amount that Brian Dable and Joe Shane will be significantly better at their jobs, head coach and GM, than their predecessors, Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman. Just switching those 2 humans out right there is a big, massive upgrade. They have 5 picks in the top 100, including number 5 and number 7. I admit they are in a little bit of a cap hell, and Daniel Jones is a question mark, but they also play on the NFC East, where the Cowboys' roster got worse. Washington's still owned by Daniel Snyder, and the Eagles are no elite team. So stock up for me, even though you raised some good points and valid concerns about the squad. All right, that'll do it, sister, for another Monday edition of Bet. Again, congratulations. Ben Simmons appeared in something today.
Won't be game 4 tonight. We'll see you Wednesday on Bet.